I gotta be honest, at this point, with everything that I see going on, specifically economically, there won't be any need for a draft. You look at the fact that there are less and less jobs every month. I think there's like anywhere from 70 to 100,000 less jobs nationwide every single month. You look at the fact that gas prices are going through the roof. You look at the fact that nobody can afford anything and the prices at the grocery store are giving people sticker shock. No, they're not going to have to draft anybody at this point. People will sign up voluntarily, basically to avoid starving. I think this has been in the works for a long time. This has always been the plan. If you look back to Vietnam, we had a war that was extremely unpopular among the American people. I think the American people have been suspicious of our government and starting wars in foreign countries ever since. You fast forward to like 2001 with 9/11, most people are now suspicious of that. You have the Epstein files, you have the Shadow Council email with Ghislaine Maxwell. A lot of people seem to think that there's a lot wrong with 9/11. I would include myself in that camp. To just cite one example of something that's kind of fucked up with that, Building 7 just coming down. I've seen a lot of good explanations, but it still doesn't make sense how it caught on fire and was completely engulfed in flames in the back, and then all of the steel structure within it just came tumbling down at free fall speeds. That doesn't make any sense to me. And you know what? Neither does this war with Iran. I don't think it really makes sense to a lot of people. It was after 9/11 that George Bush came out with that bullshit. We found out it wasn't true. And then we went and got involved in Afghanistan for like another 12 years after Iraq. And since that point in time, our government and the people within it have only lied to us more and more and more. I mean, what even was that pullout maneuver that we did in 2021 under Biden? We got 13 service members killed. The army there got absolutely obliterated. You heard about members of the Afghani military literally just getting executed by these terrorist groups because they had helped us and because they had decided to sign up for their military and go along with the Western way. And then all of the people that were helping us, like navigate the local areas and translate into their language, we just left a lot of them behind. And God only knows like how many of them died because they got found out and a bunch of guys went to their house in the middle of the night and basically just executed them and their family. And the ones that were lucky enough to be admitted to the United States and come over here as kind of like a pseudo citizen, a lot of them seemed to hate it. Remember that guy that got all pissed off and frustrated because the American system was screwing him over? Tried to kill like 3 cops on a traffic stop and they ended up having to shoot him multiple times because he was that fucking pissed off that he helped us. He was saying, I never should have helped you guys. I never should have come over here. I should have worked with the fucking Taliban or whatever. This shit is just disgusting. And the whole point of me going on that tangent is nobody wants to go to fucking war. And there's no way at this point that they're going to be able to draft the American public. I'm sorry. But nobody's going to fall for that shit. With the amount of lies, with the amount of destruction that we've seen in the lives of ordinary people in the communities abroad, there's no way that anyone's signing up for this, especially when you have that shit called the Epstein files lurking in the background with all the leaders of all these countries involved. Benjamin Netanyahu's involved. Trump was involved. The leaders of Saudi Arabia and the UAE were involved. All these top players in these countries were involved. So no, nobody wants to go to fucking war. But you see what's happening, right? They're not going to need to institute a draft. When gas reaches $8 a gallon, when milk reaches $12 a gallon, and you don't have a job, guess what they're going to do? That's going to be the point in time where they come out with something called enlistment bonuses and enlistment benefits. At some point in the future, I think it is highly probable that a lot of people are going to find themselves in a situation where they're looking at potential eviction and starvation and exposure to the elements and basically a general loss of access to all the things that are necessary to life. And at the same time, they are also going to see a very easy way out called enlisting in the military and risking your life to go to a foreign land somewhere and serve the interests of the rogue government that has hijacked our country. Because if you didn't know this, it's not just that prices are getting higher, right? That's one half of this theory of mine. It's also that they are now scraping money from everywhere. If you remember the big beautiful bill from last year, they literally axed like every single tax credit out there, which was fucking horrible. The American economy needed those tax credits so that we could do certain things in certain sectors of the economy, like solar. That was a big one. If you didn't know this, you could take up to 30% of what you spent on a solar installation off as a tax credit. That's a flat amount that comes off of your total taxes due. It's not a write-off. It's a different thing completely. It's actually much, much better. So what the government basically did there is they said, okay, we're going to take all this money that's circulating among the American people and we're going to bring it back to the government. That's basically what that is. You don't get to keep as much of your money anymore, and we're going to get more of it as in the form of taxes, basically. And then in the same bill, of course, they upped the annual budgets of Border Patrol and the military by a combined total of $200 billion just in that bill. Well, since then, they have also been scraping things like healthcare recently. They've been going into other areas of the government and saying, okay, we're now actually going to take money out of these things too, which guess what? Also makes it harder for you to afford the basic necessities of life. Your insurance premiums will go up as a result of these policies. So you see what I'm saying, right? It's all these little things that they're doing in order to take money away from the American public, take money away from budgets and other things of other places in the government, and they're funneling it, which has also largely gone to DHS as well. That was part of the plan for all these mass deportations, basically. Oh, we got to get all these people out of our country right away. Oh, we have to do it so quickly. We have to lash out at the Biden people. We have to lash out at the blue team. Oh boy, we got to get back at them. And you know what? Yeah, it was completely fucking stupid to let all those people in the country, but now I'm thinking that's part of the plan. You let a bunch of people in, now you have your excuse for Team Red to come in and basically put people with guns that are completely loyal to you all over the country. And while we're on the topic of ICE, I just want to say that we're already seeing this exact thing that I'm talking about with ICE, because they're actually offering a lot of people who sign on with ICE a massive sign-on bonus, as well as things like student debt relief. I think it's like $60,000 is like the maximum that they can relieve off your student debt. They're literally creating the problems for us. They're literally taking our money away and making our lives harder and indebting us, and then they are scraping more money away from us in the form of axing tax credits, tariffs as well. That's another thing that was completely and utterly improperly executed, going after every country at once. That wasn't a bargaining tactic for foreign countries. That was them creating the backbone of the financial hardship infrastructure so that you and I will one day have to sign up and sign on for the military. Because again, there's no other way that they're going to do it. The people's trust in the government is lower than it ever has been before. At this point, I think most people, including myself, literally trust the government to do whatever is wrong, whatever is evil, and whatever goes against the interests of the American people. And so they've been quietly doing this whole time. They've just been taking money away from us. They've been making it harder to live by inflating things like printing tons of money, tariffs, all that kind of thing, and then giving it straight to the military, giving it straight to Border Patrol. Because I guarantee you at this point, what they want more than anything is just a bunch of men under their control who are armed with guns that are also completely loyal, dependent loyal, not ideologically loyal, but dependency-based loyalty. They want that as an asset to protect themselves, because guess what, guys? Our country is about to go broke. If you've been paying into Social Security, you're not going to get fucking paid out here pretty soon. A lot of people aren't watching this economic shit that's going on in the background right now. The people who are saying that we are about 7 years away from a massive catastrophe where half of the federal government's annual income that they generate from taxes is going to be completely eaten up by just the interest payments on our national debt alone. And so at this point, if you understand just a little bit about mathematics and you think about all the other variables, like the fact that tons of seniors are going to be homeless soon. The price of gas is going through the roof because guess what? This war is not going to stop. I know Trump came out and said that a few days ago, but of course, as usual, he's just bullshitting everybody. He knows it's not going to stop. But you have all these variables that are going to increase together. They're going to compound, and we are going to have an exponential curve to our financial demise in this country. It's coming. I'm sorry. People are already throwing around like 12 to 15% annual interest rates. Seriously. That's what's projected in the near future. And once we hit that point and nobody can save money, the dollar will die so fast it'll make your head spin. And there's another variable that you can tack on to our inflation, as we'll have to print even more dollars just to make up for the inflation. It's going to be fucking terrible. And when that point in time comes and we're 6 years down the road from where we are now and we are still involved in this war with Iran and potentially Russia or China or any other number of countries that are basically just this anti-West conglomerate at that point. Think back to what I was saying right now and think about how I had this theory that they were going to use the economy against us, the American people. That many of us would come to a point in our lives where we have people who depend on us, we have people who need us to make money, and there was no other option for you. There was no job, there was no alternative to going off to war and risking your life. Because as you and your family were looking down the barrel of eviction and starvation and a lack of health care and all kinds of other stuff that they imposed upon you, they also stretched out their greasy little sausage fingers and said, hey, come join the military. We'll give you a sign-on bonus. We'll clear some of your debts, but not enough debts so that you can get out in 4 years and be fine. No, this is going to be indentured military servitude. That's what I think they're going for right now. They're really going for that kind of a situation. And when that happens, just think back to this video and think, wow, I did end up in that situation. Then look around you and see how many other people ended up in that situation. How many of my peers in the military, when I asked them, why did you sign up to come fight this war that nobody believed in, are telling you, oh, I had to. We all had to. Because we couldn't afford to live any other way. We couldn't afford to make it as a regular civilian of the United States. We had to become a soldier, risk our lives, fight and die, simply so that we could provide for our family because there was no other options left. All the jobs dried up, food prices went through the roof, gas prices went through the roof, and the military was the only entity in the entire country with any money left. So just think back to this moment right now and think back to the good times that you should probably start having. Because if you want to endure that kind of a future, you better start having some good memories that you're creating now to look back on in about 5 years or so. Or shit, maybe even sooner, honestly, with the way things are going and that exponential curve. I think there are a lot of people who are basically already there. I think as soon as they turn on those large enlistment bonuses, we are going to see enlistment in the military absolutely skyrocket. And then we're going to see probably endless war. I mean, I don't know where it goes from here. They've obviously got the government at a point where Congress isn't doing anything. The Supreme Court isn't doing anything. So it will literally be just generations of families giving birth to children to go fight and die and get maimed and burned and get PTSD and come back home all screwed up so that they can take a bunch of opium and they can make even more money off of us on the back end of that as well. We're going to turn into a society of war. We're going to be completely dependent on all kinds of chemicals. We're going to die early. We're going to live short, painful lives. And there won't be anybody left who can actually change that without some kind of massive uprising. It's literally just going to be like the fucking Hunger Games, except they're just drawing a whole bunch of names out of a hat, basically, to go fight and die in a war so that they can continue making tons and tons of money. And they will, right? That's that upper class. That's that like top 20%. Maybe in the future it'll be like top 10% of people in this country who possess 90% of the fucking wealth in our country. Yeah, those people. We already know what they're conspiring. We already know what they're up to. The Epstein files show us that they're completely immoral. They're fucking horrible, evil human beings. They're probably the closest things you can get to literal demons on this planet, on this plane of existence, that you possibly can. And if you don't think it's possible for all of them to see the potential here to make money by simply squeezing the bottom 90% of people in this country and forcing them into the war so that they can all make money and then they can all just go along with it without formally addressing it or bringing it up as a specific plan, then you're fucking wrong. You're crazy. You can very clearly see the profit motives here. There is tons and tons of money to be made in war. Whether you're in banking or the media or in politics or in the military-industrial complex, or again, on the back end, big pharma or a lot of these healthcare or insurance companies that will end up tying in with the military. And basically, you'll get out of the military with one of a few select ailments, and the government will basically pay out to the insurance company, and it'll just become like this giant, sick system that brainwashes children from a very young age, sends them off to war equipped with all kinds of super powerful weapons, gets them all fucked up, brings them back home, then pumps them full of chemicals and other pharmaceutical drugs until they eventually die of some extremely painful or psychologically horrendous illness, then you're wrong. Because that's absolutely what's going to happen very, very soon if I am correct. And I really hope I'm not. I hope this theory is just a bit of like my mind playing games with me, a little bit of smoke and mirrors where I'm kind of reaching for something, but I don't think I am. I see it very clearly. It's all about money. Money is the largest store of value that we have in this country, and it is actively being scraped away from us, and it is being given to the government, and the government is very specifically funneling all of it into the military. And now we're even at the point where they're leeching from other government programs in order to do the same exact thing. And unless we do something about this, our lives will continue to get harder, and the only thing we will be able to do about that is to go fight and die in a foreign war, where you will probably be told to shoot children, or bomb families, or maybe even torture innocent people, because that's what they do in the Epstein files. That's what they're okay with. They're fine with all of that, and they'll be fine with telling you to do it too. And yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to say on this subject. Good luck and Godspeed. We really need to fucking do something about this. We really need to get those Epstein files out in the open. All the ones we know that are there that they won't show us, that is. So that we can send a lot of these very same people to fucking prison and avoid all this bullshit altogether. But at this point, I don't think people really want to do that. I don't think people really care enough. So we're very likely going to have a extremely grim future, where every problem of society that we currently have right now gets a million times worse, and those people at the top get a million times richer. Because if you think that's impossible, it's not. Just watch. Just watch. Guarantee you, they'll stop paying their taxes, they'll get all kinds of benefits, and they'll be raking in billions and billions of dollars, and we'll see some trillionaires here popping up pretty soon. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.